The first time I noticed him, I brushed it off as nothing. Just a momentary glance, a passing flicker of curiosity that would disappear as quickly as it arrived. But it didn't. Instead, I kept noticing him, watching him in a way that felt new and unsettling. The way he moved through the house, unhurried, confident, too comfortable. The way his eyes lingered on me when he thought I wasn't aware. It was faint, nearly invisible. But once I caught it, I couldn't unsee it. And worse, I didn't even try. It started with little things. He'd hang around in the kitchen while I brewed coffee, leaning on the counter with that maddening half-smile, eyes tracing my every movement. He never spoke of it directly, but his silence said everything. The space between us thickened with something unspoken, something charged and off-limits. One evening, my husband called from his office. Another late night, another dinner for one. I should have been used to it by now, but the same disappointment settled in my chest like a weight I couldn't shake. I hung up slowly, the silence of the house closing in. I swallowed hard, pushing back the loneliness that had dug its roots deep inside me. "You don't seem surprised," a voice said behind me. I turned, startled, to see him in the doorway, arms folded, wearing that same infuriating look that said he understood far too much. "I'm not," I answered. "Work always comes first." He watched me for a moment, then gave a short, knowing smile. "That's a shame." There was something in the way he said it. It wasn't pity. It was something heavier, more dangerous. Something that made my heartbeat stumble. "You shouldn't say things like that," I told him, trying to sound firm. "Like what?" "Like you notice things." He stepped in just a little, but his eyes didn't waver. "I do notice things." I should have looked away, should have shut it down, but I didn't. I held his gaze, even as everything inside screamed at me to stop. "This isn't funny," I said, barely above a whisper. His smirk deepened. "Who said I was joking?" I turned around, gripping the edge of the counter like it could anchor me. I needed to shut this down before it became something real. "I think you should go out tonight," I said, trying to sound casual. "See your friends." He didn't budge. "I'm having a good time right here." I felt my breath catch. He wasn't teasing. He wasn't pretending. He was testing me, waiting for me to either back away or step closer. "Go," I said quietly. A pause. Then he gave a soft chuckle. "Okay," he said. But then his tone shifted, quiet and certain. "But you should know something." I turned to face him, and for once, the smirk was gone. His expression had turned serious. His eyes locked with mine, steady and intense. "I don't think I want to stop." I should have been furious. Should have told him to leave and never look back. But I just stood there, my pulse pounding in my ears, my body betraying me with a flush of warmth I didn't want to name. And worst of all, I didn't want to stop either. I avoided him for days. It was the only thing that made sense. I buried myself in chores, in empty conversations with my husband, in anything that could distract me from the memory of that charged moment. But space didn't fix anything. It only sharpened the tension. One evening, I stepped out to clear my head. The night air was cool, sharp, grounding. I needed to be alone. But there he was again, in the backyard, shirtless, moving in slow, deliberate motions under the soft porch light. I should have turned back, but I didn't. My breath hitched as I watched him stretch, his body sleek and effortless. He knew I was there. I could see it in the way his movements slowed, the way he played up every motion. When he finally turned, catching my eyes, that smirk returned. "You don't have to hide," he said, grabbing a towel to wipe the sweat from his neck. "I'm not hiding." He stepped closer. Too close. "Then why do you keep running?" My stomach twisted. "This isn't a game." He nodded. "I never said it was. But I think you're lying to yourself." I should have walked away. I should have slammed the door and locked it behind me. But I stayed. And when he reached for my hand, just the softest brush of fingers against mine. I felt it shoot through me like fire. "You feel it too," he whispered. I wanted to deny it, to shake my head and walk away. But I couldn't. A rumble of thunder echoed above us. The clouds had thickened, and fat drops of rain began to fall. I stepped back, heart racing. This can't happen. He didn't argue. He didn't have to. His eyes said it clearly, it already had. I went inside, fingers trembling as I closed the door behind me. Rain lashed at the windows like it had been waiting. I stood there, pressing my fingertips to my lips where the memory of his touch still clung. I wanted to blame him, but deep down I knew I had been the first to look. Sleep wouldn't come that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, felt him, heard that voice. By morning, I had convinced myself it was in my head, that the storm, the tension, had created something that wasn't real. But when I came downstairs, he was already there, standing in the kitchen like nothing had changed. Watching. He didn't say anything at first, just let his eyes rest on me while I poured my coffee. "You didn't run this time," he said finally, voice low. "There's nothing to run from." He smiled slowly. "You sure about that?" I wanted to shut him out, to say something that would end it. But then he brushed past me, hand grazing my waist. Barely a touch, but deliberate. Heat rose inside me. I needed to go, to get out of the room. But he leaned in just slightly, breath brushing my cheek. "You keep saying this can't happen," he said, "but you never say you don't want it." That's what broke me. I couldn't lie anymore. And then thunder cracked again. The lights flickered, dimmed. The storm had returned, and so had everything I'd tried to deny. He reached for my wrist. Not pulling, not forcing. Just asking. And I didn't pull away. When he kissed me, I let him. His lips soft at first, then growing needier, hungrier. The taste of coffee lingered on both our lips. His arms circled my waist, pulling me into him, and I didn't resist. I melted. In that moment, I didn't care. I wasn't someone's wife. I wasn't lonely. I wasn't broken. I was just alive. The days that followed blurred. Stolen moments. Whispered words behind closed doors. Every shared glance felt like a secret. I knew I should feel guilt, but all I felt was desire. He looked at me like I was something rare. And maybe that's what held me there. Maybe that's what made it impossible to stop. My husband never noticed. Always on a call, always away. I watched him drift further from me, while his son watched me closer than ever. Then came the business trip. 3 days. I swore I'd behave, but the knock on my door said otherwise. He stood there, shadows dancing on his face, that look in his eyes unreadable. "You've been avoiding me," he said. "We both know why." A smirk. "Do we?" I turned, clutching the dresser for balance. This isn't right. Then why does it feel like it is? He stepped closer, and when he kissed me again, I didn't stop him. The next morning, I woke before him. Slipped out of bed, dressed in silence, heart pounding. I needed to breathe. But when I stepped into the hallway, everything froze. My husband was at the bottom of the stairs, suitcase in hand, staring up at me. His eyes flicked to the door behind me. I didn't turn. I didn't have to. The silence between us was louder than any scream. He said only 2 words. "I thought so." Then he left. No anger. No accusations. Just silence. The hours dragged. I waited for yelling. For something. But nothing came. He didn't even look at me. And the worst part? He didn't seem surprised. That night, I found him in his study. A drink in his hand. The weight of everything hanging in the air. I stepped into the room, unsure. Ashamed. He spoke without turning. "How long?" "It doesn't matter." A bitter laugh. "No. I guess it doesn't." He faced me. "Do you love him?" I hesitated. And that pause said everything. He nodded, almost to himself. Then walked past me. The next morning he was gone. No note, no goodbye, just absence. A week passed. My stepson and I barely spoke. We moved like strangers. But the electricity between us hadn't vanished. It had just changed shape. One night, I found him standing in the kitchen, staring into the dark. I hesitated, then asked, "What happens now?" He didn't answer right away. When he finally did, his voice was quiet. "I don't know." The honesty in those words struck something deep in me. We stood there, silent and still, the weight of everything we'd done between us. Then slowly, he reached for my hand. And I let him. Because despite everything, despite the wreckage and the guilt, I still couldn't bring myself to walk away.